All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So I think I'm going to call this podcast Create the Opportunity. Not sure if that title's going to work or not. But I think, one thing that people miss their mark on is learning how to create their own opportunities. I think they get pigeonholed into thinking, one, that an opportunity is just going to come their way eventually. They just think, I don't know if they think they're going to get discovered or some company's going to find them or somebody else is going to see them and it's going to lead to this and that. And before you know it, you ended up in exactly the place you thought you wanted to be. And don't get me wrong, that does happen every day. But for the most part, that doesn't happen to most people, is what I should say. I think most people that succeed go after what they want to go after, and they develop or create their own opportunities. And here's the other thing. I think when people think of doing certain things, they either think it's very complicated, that they'll never do it, so they kind of bog out, or they think it's too simple. And then they get into it and realize how complicated it really is to become something that they want to become, or at a high level. They underestimate it. I did that in the film industry. I thought I would, make a couple independent films, and then all of a sudden I can make some Hollywood-style films. Didn't go that way. Not saying it doesn't go that way for other people, but the odds of that are far and few between. And I learned that the hard way. I also thought making films would be so much easier. I don't know, it's so easy. I talk about it. It's easy to create. It's easy to critique. It's not easy to create. I always talk about. You can sit around and critique anybody's work. I don't care what it is. Even you may do that at your workplace. But until you walk in their shoes, you better be careful. Because I think this has happened to a lot of us. We're like, oh my God, look at his job, how simple it is. Or look what he's doing. And then you kind of get thrown into it and you're like, holy shit. I didn't realize how complicated or how hard he was working or what he had to go through. Now you're walking in their shoes, just like you may be in a situation and people may be looking at you going, you don't do much, you don't work that hard. I don't care if it's as simple as making a website. I don't care if it's being an entrepreneur. I don't even give a shit if you want to become an athlete or get in better shape, lose weight. We can all sit around and go, yeah, I can lose 20 pounds with no problem, or 30 pounds. Yeah, I could get great. I could do that. I can run a marathon if I really put my mind to it. No, it's probably a lot more complicated than you think it is. And so many people talk shit, but that's a whole nother thing. But back to your opportunities, I also think a lot of times, it's kind of momentum driven, I think, opportunity a lot of times. And they always talk about just showing up, right? A lot of times. But if you think about it now through a pandemic, how do you show up? It's so different than it was before. Even if you had to go to a convention, if you want to go see a public speaker, or you wanted to go interact with a group, you wanted to go to meetings, all these things are much different. I've been doing some calls now on Zoom, helping some people as far as marketing goes, I guess you could say. And they've been kind of stumped because they're still thinking the way they thought before in sales, which was, hey, we're going to go to conventions. Hey, I can set up meetings. Hey, I can travel. And for the most part, nobody really wants to meet anyone. No one wants to risk getting sick or their family sick. And even if they caught the virus, they don't want to really, deal with somebody traveling in and out of it. Just that whole thing is kind of changed. More people are working at home, or more people just go to an office. They're comfortable just being there. It's not like it was before. So you have to develop a different type of way of getting the same opportunity that maybe, let me put it this way. You probably realize now, I think, if you're a business, all the opportunities that you actually had before, now that a lot of them were taken away. It could be me too. Like, I traveled a lot for work. For the most part, I'm not now. So I lost that opportunity. So sometimes I'd complain that I was always traveling. Well, how's this? Now you can't travel. And then if you do travel, you have to, quarantine, or you have to do this or that. It's restricted. All these different regulations. I lost that opportunity, actually. I didn't even realize how beneficial just being able to travel, that not only with business, but even with me and my girlfriend. Like last year, we traveled so much. The year before that is what I say. So last year was the pandemic, but the year before, I was burnt. But I went to Chicago for numerous times, even for weddings, and they had a surprise party for me. I also was able to go to Hawaii and went to Canada again numerous times. California, LA, Manhattan. I'm all over the place all the time. I was like, oh my God, if I could just take a year off of just traveling, it would be nice. And I got it. But I didn't, realize taking that year off that I was so used to doing different things that gave me opportunities. It could be even for my YouTube channel, visiting different places. It could be restaurants, gyms, my favorite coffee houses, smoothie places. Seeing old friends and family members when I traveled, I loved as well, right? You start to lose those connections. But, these are things, I'm not just talking about, personal stuff like I described, but in business as well. Obviously, like I was just talking about, when it comes to certain things, you're going to have to still adapt to what the times are and create your own opportunities. If you want to get something done, you're going to specifically have to figure out how you're going to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of times you can grab advice from other people, and that's kind of what I've been doing on helping people on Zoom calls or just phone calls lately, saying, this is what I do. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. You're not me. I'm not you. Especially online. A lot of people think they're going to do what I'm doing online and maybe get the attention, that I've gotten. It won't. It may not. It may not. Just like I don't get the attention hypothetically as somebody on a much higher level on social media. For some, their information's better, their marketing team may be better, they spend a lot more money, all these different types of things. But again, I have to look at what opportunities I can kind of create, I think, to benefit myself. I can't always get caught up with what everyone else is doing, because the reality is I don't know really what anybody else is doing. I'm not them. So even if I'm telling people what I do, it's not everything. It's probably only 10% of it. They don't see all the other things that I'm doing as well to create those opportunities. So I just want to do a podcast on this to really pay attention to that, because I think a lot of people just think opportunities are going to come their way, especially in the job market right now. I know a lot of people that have been furloughed or let go, and it's heartbreaking. I'm one of those people too that just hasn't worked in a long time, with the exception of me just doing my own thing. So I have had a lot of time to kind of go in and reinvent myself entirely. I said I'm going to take this opportunity, because I've been working and traveling for so many years, being at home, to create all these things that I always wanted to create. But I also learned by creating them that what worked and didn't work. It was easy for me to say, yeah, I want to start doing this and that'll work, but I just don't have time to do it. Or I wanted to create this, and if that arises, then I can do this. All these different types of things, which I was able to do. It also exposed me as far as a lot of things not working out. Like, I think a lot of people, they don't want to tell you the truth. I don't care if it comes down to how they market themselves, how much money their companies are making, what they're doing personally. A lot of things fail. I'd say most things fail. So even after failing, this has given me the opportunity to understand that, hey, I failed at this. How am I going to fix it? Or I failed at it. Do I want to keep going after it? Because a lot of things you never get to go after. So you don't know what the opportunity may, turn into or evolve into, is what I should say. I don't want to get too complicated with this, but really, if you want something, go after it. I don't give a shit if you wanted to fish, as simple as that. More, make the opportunity to do that, okay? If you want to go buy a goddamn boat, hypothetically, become creative too, is what I should say. I think people totally underestimate that when we think of creativity, we think about it from an artistic standpoint a lot of times. It could be art, paintings, it could be television, writers, authors, anything creative, musicians, all these things. No, create your own opportunities. You have to be creative. A lot of times just following things a certain way someone else did them, or the way you think, may not work. Most likely it's not going to work. If you look at most people in business, they're either struggling or not succeeding. And it's just, I get it's a pandemic, but also, are they being creative? Are they kind of stepping outside of their comfort zone? Are they creating those opportunities? And a lot of times you may have to do things that you may not feel comfortable doing. And again, if you don't want to do them, of course you don't have to do them. But again, if you've never tried them, you may like them a lot more than you thought. But again, creativity and opportunity, they're all right there for you. You just got to figure it out. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, just check out my website, richcelenza.com. I have a Mastering Self-Confidence program where I try to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. I help them with wardrobe, fashion, what else? Fitness, many other things. And yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So leave a comment. Have any questions, hit me up. All right, take care.